Welcome to the 2017 PMP Expo Construction Contracting and Qualifications presentation. My name is Darren Chernick, and I am a lead contract specialist here at the county. Been doing construction contracting for 15 years at the county.
I'm Mark Hoagie. I'm contract specialist. Been here for 24 years.
Today we're going to talk about the qualification process, how it fits into the procurement timeline, some of the variables that affect the timing of the contracts, and some new tools that we have for getting those contracts done successfully.
So qualifications are what we use to get a bidder who is qualified to do the project. And we have a special section in the contract document that defines exactly what those minimum requirements are as far as the bidder's experience before he is made the contractor. We've got a number of considerations when we develop the qualifications, experience of the contractor, typically 3 projects in the last 5 years or last 8 years. We'll look at technology such as one new thing is pipe bursting that wastewater treatment uses. Instead of excavating and digging up old pipes, you can do a technique called pipe bursting, where you put a new pipe into an old pipe and make it work. Much cheaper technique.
Another thing that technology related is new equipment. If there's some new kind of equipment that runs a station or something, some VFDs or anything like that has been released in the last few years, you may consider, does a firm need to have experience with a new piece of technology that has been released recently?
And it's all related to, is it unique to the project? And people who are, typically we look at the project manager and on-site superintendent that run the project day to day and are critical. You might call them key personnel, is a synonym for the people that are necessary to make the project work. And then location, we can, is it inside a jail where there's confined access to the job site and other restrictions that'll make it impossible or difficult for the contractor to perform the work? Is there something special about those kind of location issues and the type of facility it is that either restrict or sometimes you want to make sure you don't cause a restriction. If it's, say, a roof on a wastewater treatment plant, the contractor doesn't have to have experience working at a wastewater treatment plant. A roof is a roof, so we wouldn't want to have a restriction on the type of facility if it's irrelevant to the physical location of the project. So this pyramid is attempting to distinguish between the very specific requirements of the project, shown in purple here, the foundation of the project, the critical elements that will make or break the project, critical elements of experience that the contractor has to have to get the project done. So we want to make a distinction. We don't want to have just the general scope of work and a generic subcontractor. The one subcontractor could do it just as well as another subcontractor. And you want to narrow it down to only the things that really are going to be critical to the specific project. What we really want to avoid is making overly restrictive qualifications. You could call that also anti-competitive, or making restrictions and experience requirements so onerous that a contractor that is actually qualified to do the work ends up being defined out of being able to get the contract because we've put too many things that are irrelevant or excessive in the qualifications requirements. And so by excessively restricting competition, you can limit the number of bidders. A bidder who might have been low doesn't bid at all. You can reject bidders that who may have been qualified, but because we required 4 projects and they only had 3 projects of a certain type, that makes it, you have to follow, once we put it in the qualifications information, then we have to follow through and enforce the requirements that we set. So another scenario would be if there's a protest. You'd have a bidder could protest or object to the requirements that we made, but that would cause a time delay and is going to add, time is money, so unnecessary costs are going to be added to the project. So the whole concept of using qualifications information is an option under the Revised Code of Washington. It's not just low bid. It's the magic phrase is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. So lowest means low price. Responsive relates to what's in the sealed bid when they give it to us on the bid opening day. Did they sign the bid form and acknowledge all the addenda and give us a bid price for all the bid items that we put in there? Responsible refers to the qualification. So or what and the RCW actually calls it, they make a distinction between statutory or mandatory qualifications, like do you have a Washington State contractor's license, and then there's the supplemental criteria, which is do you have the experience specific to the project. So we've got, I'm looking at the lower left bullet and thinking about the timing and all the things that go into the chronology of a project getting it out to bid. So during, or I should say prior to the advertisement, we have to draft all this stuff. So in addition to the specifications, this is one of the one more document that goes into it. The project manager, together with procurement, develops the criteria, qualifications information, and the goal is really to get it so that it's valid, and then it doesn't have to be changed during the bidding period. So hopefully 100% of the drafting of the qualifications information is done prior to the first advertisement. Of course, that's also true of your specifications, but it doesn't always work out that way. Addenda are common in a bidding period, so we hit the advertisement during the pre-bid conference. We solicit the bidders to criticize the qualifications information if they think we've put in something that's unnecessary or restricts competition. We want the bidders to tell us that and explain why they think it is excessive so that we can adjust it. But then now in the evaluation, once the bids have opened, then you go into, did the bidder meet the qualifications or not? If the low bidder does not meet the qualifications, we reject their bid. That's the whole point of qualifications information, is to give us the contractual power to reject the bidder. And it's a double-edged sword. Once you put it in there, then we're actually required to reject them. So you have to think about it, what the criteria that you're putting in there. Do you really want that? Would you reject an otherwise qualified bidder just for meeting, like, not for having 3 projects instead of only 2? So, because when you put it in and say 3 and they only have 2, then we're required to follow our own, what we wrote into our own document, and follow through and reject the bidder.
Thanks, Mark. As Mark has explained, and how qualifications are wrapped into each phase of the solicitation process that you see here. They're developed well in the planning, carried through the solicitation and the evaluation, and they can have an effect on any one of those phases at any time. And currently our average time for getting a standard contract out is about 90 days from beginning to end. So consider the qualifications carefully when you are developing your contract, and work closely with the contract specialist, and call them often and ask questions as needed. So other variables that affect the timing of your contract getting out and getting executed in a timely manner is the method that you want to use for contracting. Do you want to use a standard advertised small works roster? Do you got some large complex thing that you need to do some type of an alternative procurement? Something else, the complexity of the project. Is it a straightforward roofing project, or is it a rebuild of a whole entire building, or a treatment system or something like that? The completeness of your service requests that you submit to us, all the documents and forms that you need to get in a timely manner, will have an effect. If they leave questions or things are missing, then I'm going to be reviewing it and bouncing it back to you to get it complete. Consider the time of year that you want to do your contract. If it's a roof contract or a paving contract that kind of need the warm, dry weather, then time it so it comes to us early at the beginning of the year in spring. If it's an interior project that doesn't rely on the weather, then consider doing it in the wintertime. Spread out. We get a lot of contracts come in the springtime, because everybody wants to hit the summer construction window, but the sooner we get them in, the quicker we can get you into the queue and keep your project moving along. Make sure that you have all of your permits. That will speed things up. If you do not have your permits, then we have to add additional language to the contract, then consider delaying the bid opening until we get those permits. In rare circumstances, we can discuss doing opening bids without them, but like I said, that's rare. So please make sure you get them all, and that the contract specialist is aware of the permits and the conditions that you may have. And also, as Mark has talked extensively about, the qualifications in the documents. Make sure that you draft something up that is going to be close to what we want to have advertised, so that there is a minimal amount of time in the development of those qualifications. And by all means, ask us. We have years and years of contract examples that we can pull up for you if you need be, from previous contracts. Anything we can do to speed things along. And part of what we're doing, we're all county-wide on this whole lean journey together, and so we're always looking for ways to continuously improve the way we do our contracting process. We're always looking for ways to make it quicker. We've developed a lot of standard work so far. We got more to do, but we're always looking for ways to make it faster. So we need your help. So if you have any ideas when going through a process with a specialist, let us know. We're open to change. So some kind of exciting new things that we have put up on our SharePoint site. Woohoo! On our cross-collaboration page, which I send out a link for it every time I issue a new contract number, you can see up here we have the little matrix for choosing the type of contracting method. There's some basic general information in there. You can click on any of the links and see what each type of the methods that we typically do have to offer. There's to start a new contract, we have the blue buttons and the green buttons over here to the right side. They will take you through the process, and if you need any of the forms, if you need a link to the insurance request form, that's down here, as well as the SOAW and the other forms that you need for developing the service request package for getting a contract going. And there are also links on the left-hand side under the home. You have a link to the solicitations. You can find our boilerplate up here on our SharePoint site now if you need to take a look at anything, or especially if you want to grab those qualification boilerplate that we use that you can start developing your draft from. And then also there is links to the individual contract specialists on the page as well. So we try to run everything we can through there. Also under the left-hand side, there is the link to the solicitations, and that's where all the project files are set up for your contract in the development process. So this is a kind of a full view of the page, what it looks like. Like I said, over on the way right-hand side is links to all the contract specialists that can help you out if you got questions along the way. As I pointed out, on the left-hand side, there's the link to the solicitations. You got a link to the boilerplate there as well. And then another thing that we have down on the bottom down here is the construction Kanban, or excuse me, the contract Kanban, which you can utilize to track your project.
Is that a fancy word for schedule?
It is. So on the left-hand side of the Kanban is where your project comes. As soon as I create a contract number for you, I put your project up here and the date you anticipated going to advertisement, and so we track it along there, and then once it's advertised, I assign it to a specialist who will have the most time or experience and knowledge to get your contract moving as quick as possible. And those are indicated by the colors and the little alternate color down the right-hand side of each of the little tabs for the contract is the alternate contract specialist. So you can follow it along as it moves down through the whole process of moving through the contracting process.
And those are the actual contracts that are in each phase as designated by the chronology of the milestones.
So
because we don't have an expo table, this was only available on that one day of the expo.
Hey, thank you very much.